Welcome to Cedar Hill Country Market. Today I'm going to be doing something just a little bit different. I got a pretty large order for some wax melts, which I sell on my website at cedarhillcountrymarket.com. You can go and check out all the different wax melts that we have available. But I'm not going to be giving the measurements as I go along. I will give you, in the description, I'll give a list of the items that I use to make my wax melts. And you're free to, obviously you can do research on how to make them. There's thousands of videos on how to make wax melts, but I thought I'd take you guys along and show you how we make them for our store. And we do them just a little bit differently. And ours are pretty popular. We sell them at the booth that we have at the Antique Mall. And I'll be launching the spring scents here in the next couple weeks. But these are what I had on the website, and this is what the lady ordered. And she ordered quite a bit of each one. But I'm going to show you a batch of 6 or 7 of one of the items that she chose, which is the clothesline smell. And it's really more of a, if you like the smell of Gain, it smells a lot like Gain. So I'm going to point the camera down and we're going to get started doing our mixing, batching. Batching, mixing. Okay, I think that's right. I can't really see. Okay, I'm going to be just using a Cool Whip container. And I'm using a scale because I know exactly how many ounces that I need. I think it's 12 of the wax. And again, research before you start making them. If you want a chemist recipe, this is not the video for you. Because I'm going to do a lot of it just by sight, because we've done quite a bit of them, and so I'm just going to do what I've always done. And it's 1 full container, a Cool Whip container of wax. And I'm using the paraffin or the Tarte wax. And I got this from Virginia Candle Supply. And it's 10 pounds of Tarte wax. And you want the Tarte wax because it's already melts evenly, and it doesn't, you don't want to put a brick of wax, to be melted. Oops, I need to turn the scale on. Hold on one second. Okay, so we start with 0. Oops, there we go. And I'm going to add, we're going to fill this up, hopefully without spilling. This sometimes acts like glitter. And you have to be patient in doing these because this process does not go super fast. It's not going to melt fast. I wouldn't throw it in the microwave. It doesn't work like that. To get a really good wax melt, you want everything to be, as much by hand process as you possibly can get. And it looks like I've got a little bit more than I wanted, so I'm going to put some back. Perfect. This is 12 ounces on the money. Okay. So now I'm going to bring the camera over to the stove, and I'm going to be getting this the wax melted down, and then I'll show you how we add our dyes. So we'll be back. Okay, so as you can see, I'm doing the double boiler method. You can buy these wax pitchers on Amazon. That's where I bought mine. I think I bought it there. And we've got our wax inside. You want to make sure and use utensils that are specifically for wax. And I usually wait for this to start melting, and I use a wooden spoon handle is what I use to stir it, because you want it to get, obviously to get to the clarified temperature where the wax is completely melted. And I heat up my water, and then I turn the temperature down to low, and I just let it sit here, and I stir, wait a few minutes, stir, and eventually all the wax will be clear and melted. And it's a timing thing, so once the wax melts, you've only got a certain amount of time to get your dyes in, your fragrances in, and you don't want to put your fragrance in if the temperature gets too warm, because the fragrance will burn off, and then it'll heat up and burn off, and then when you're using these on a wax warmer, the fragrance will be pretty much gone, and they just don't last a long time. Small batches usually work really well with wax melts. You're going to get more of a commercial version, and it should, depending on the size of the room, it should put off enough fragrance in the room for an average, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 square foot. You'd probably need 2 wax melts per warmer for that size room. And if you have a, really big home and you have really big open spaces, you're going to need to use more wax melts to get the fragrance to bloom all over the room. So we'll be back when this wax is completely clarified, and we'll move on to our next step. Okay, I'm just giving an update so you can see some of there's a little bit of wax left to melt. And we'll get this melted, and then we'll add what we need to. Okay, so I've got the wax completely melted. The temperature is already starting to come down. I think I'm at 174, so it needs to come down a little bit. But while it's coming down, I'm going to go ahead and add my dye chips to get the color for this clothesline. And the dye goes a long way. You don't need a lot. So I'm going to be adding, this is called Aqua Blue, and I'm just going to be adding, 1 chip. And as the wax cools down, it's going to melt. I've got some press and seal over a wooden spoon handle because I don't want the dye to get absorbed into the wood handle. And I'm just going to stir this really good. As you can see, the blue dye is already melted. And the color that shows in the picture is not necessarily the color that it's going to dry to. It's usually, this is always darker, just as a reference. And you don't want to add your scents too soon. Let's see, I'm at 164, so I need about like 160. Okay, so this stage, I'm going to go ahead and add my fragrance. And if you do this too hot, just remember that's going to burn off, and your stuff's not going to smell very good for very long. And you don't want to do it at too cold, because if you put it in where the wax is too cold, then it's going to sit on top of the wax in your wax container, and they're going to be pretty nasty. You're not going to, this type of wax only absorbs a certain rate. So I'm going to pour this in.
Between 160 and 165.
Okay.
Pouring.
Yeah.
Temperature.
And then I'm just going to stir it like this. And then my husband's going to pour them. And I'm going to revert the camera over that way. I'm just going to take this off because I don't want to use this for the next batch, because you don't want to mix your scents. The handle right here. And then I'm going to move the camera over. And display. Yeah, you're in on camera.
I don't think you're gonna
Yeah, there's plenty. Okay, we finished the wax melts, and we've already put the labels on them. I have a warning label on the bottom. We have our branding that we put on the top, and this customer ordered farmhouse, the cleaned up cowboy, and the clothesline. And this box here is full all the way to the bottom of wax melts. So that'll be shipped out tomorrow. And I hope you enjoyed this video and seeing how we make our wax melts. My home smells like a combination of all these right now. Smells pretty awesome. But I hope you join us next time. Thanks for watching, and remember, find somebody to bless.